Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Terrell Henderson, aka the guy in the chair. This is my very first video, so I kind of just want to use this to give a little introductory to my channel, who I am, what I'm about, what this channel is about, and just give a little rundown of what I'm gonna be doing on here. So like I said, my name is Terrell. I'm the guy in the chair. For those of you who don't know what a guy in the chair is, we're gonna do a quick little breakdown of that. So basically, a guy in the chair is any superhero, instead of having a sidekick go out there and fight with them, you got a guy in the chair in their ear. Batman's got Alfred, Spider-Man's got Ned, Kim Possible had Wade. And if you look in my picture in my profile, you'll see that I'm a big fan of Wade. So look, I'm your guy in the chair. I'm trying to stay in your ear, keep you guys updated on all things movies, sports, any other topics that I'm just pretty interested in. I watch a lot of movies. I love movies, so I'm always watching that. I'm always watching television. So I'm gonna be uploading hopefully a bunch of reviews on here of just latest movies, the latest TV shows, just random topics that I think I want people to hear about, just my thoughts on, and sports too. I'm gonna make sure I do a blend of sports topics as well. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this. I will be doing my very first review of Scream. Please enjoy. So before I start my review, I actually just want to cover, what I like to do in my reviews. So essentially, I just want to cover, the who, the what, so who the directors are, who the characters are, what the plot is. And then from there, just cover the good, the bad, do some hot takes, maybe some analysis, give us some shout outs if anybody had any special Oscar-worthy performances, maybe just great performances in general, just things you should see. And then, I'm gonna do my review. The way I do my reviews is based off of, since we got a whole pandemic going on, I essentially just want to tell you whether or not it's worth watching. And sometimes that'll be in a yes, no type thing, or maybe sometimes I'll compare it to something else. We'll see. The review thing will work out as the videos go along. But for now, I'm just going to tell you whether or not it's worth watching. So that's how we're going to do this. So we got Scream 2022, Scream 5, whichever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Scream just for the heck of it, because that's what's on the movie poster. So we're just going to keep it Scream. It's the first Scream movie not directed by Wes Craven. I actually don't know the director's name, but I do know who it stars. It stars Melissa Barrera, who was in The Heights. It stars Jack Quaid, who was in The Boys, and Jenna Ortega, who was in You Season 2. That's what I know her from. I know she's from in other stuff too. But and then of course you have your original cast, your original trio. You got Courtney Cox, Nev Campbell, and David Arquette returning as Sidney Prescott, Gale Weathers, and Dewey. I don't know Dewey's last name. I don't think Dewey should have a last name. I mean, characters should have a last name, but for this sake, his name's Dewey. We all know him. We all know him as Dewey. I'm pretty sure Officer Dewey, Sheriff Dewey, we only know him as Dewey. So you got those characters, and as far as the plot goes, it's Scream. We're keeping it simple here. Somebody calls your house, they say, "What's your favorite scary movie?" You die. It's really that simple. It's just another Scream movie. We're following the same. Now, as I describe the plot, please know this is not how I feel about the movie, but it's a Scream movie, so let's not overthink this. It's 10 years, it's another decade after the last Scream movie happened, and they acknowledge that in the movie as well. It's a whole going storyline that they keep here, which I really like. I thought that was very refreshing. But as far as the plot goes, yeah, it's 10 years later after the events of Scream 4. It's got a whole new cast of high schoolers that they gotta follow. Like I said, Ghostface calls your phone. What's your favorite scary movie? And here we go. We got Scream. So you have Melissa Barrera and Jack Quaid, who plays her boyfriend. Her sister, Jenna Ortega, is the one who gets attacked, which you do see in the beginning of the trailer. She gets attacked, and then she has to come into town. She has to go back to Woodsboro to see, what's going on, why she's getting attacked, who's Ghostface. Like I said, where's Scream? It's Scream. It's not nothing too crazy, but essentially, like I said, once she gets to town, Ghostface does Ghostface things. And I will say this before I get to my breakdown of the good and the bad. Ghostface is back, ladies and gentlemen. I was very ecstatic to watch such an iconic killer figure in the horror franchise do his thing in a way that it was very refreshing for me, especially coming off these other rebooted killing movies such as Halloween Kills, which I despise. I can't stand that movie. It's terrible. It's not a good movie at all. And I'm not trying to trash on anybody that likes it. If you like it, okay. I really would like to have a deep discussion of why you like it. We can have a little session one-on-one if you want, but I don't like it at all. It's not really a good movie. But as far as Ghostface, just rampaging all over Woodsboro and doing his killing in fashionable style, you get all that and more in this movie. So let's get started with the good. So the good things about this movie, and what I really was actually very surprised at, was how refreshing the movie felt. Although, you've seen that, like I said, it's Scream, so you see it's the same plot, but of course they do things in their own self-aware, horrific way. But they do it in a way that feels new. Especially, look, I'll say this about the beginning scene, especially. You always want to. It's one of the best dialogues. It's one of the best opening scenes in a Scream movie, probably for me since the second one. I don't know. I gotta say the opening in this one's definitely gonna be in my top three. I can't say it's better than the original Scream opening, but it's for me, that Scream opening was definitely up there to show that this Ghostface means business. It's not it's not just another cheap little remake movie. No, they're really going for it here. Another thing I loved about this movie was the fact that they poke fun. They've always poked fun at other horror franchises, and it's a self-aware movie where the killers are basing their actions off horror movies. So I mean, what they do in this movie though that I really enjoyed was the fact that they poke at new age horror movies, or essentially they called it evolutionary horror in the movie or something like that. I saw this movie like weeks ago, so this review is kind of late, so I apologize about that. But yeah, so basically they poke fun at evolutionary horror, which was movies like, Midsummer, Hereditary, The Babadook, things like that. Things that don't really rely on jump scares anymore. And, Scream is a movie that, needs the jump scares. You need, your iconic old 80s, 90s style killing. And, Ghostface relies on that. And it's very refreshing. I know I say that. I know I'm saying that a lot, but this is my first review. Give me a break, guys. Come on. Another thing I liked about the movie was the fact that they didn't really necessarily Sidney Prescott, Gale. They are characters and they play a role in this movie, but they're not like the main parts of the movie. Like the killer's not focused on them. Like the killing is not focused around them. The killing is not based on stuff that's happening in their lives anymore. They are a story in the killings and they are a part of it, but it's not centered focally on them. It's focused on these new kids, which is great. Which, I mean, Scream 4 did too. It was focused on the kids, but Sydney was still a part of that because Emma Roberts was Sydney's niece. So I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that. Look, if you haven't seen the Scream movies, I'm saying this way late in the review, but if you haven't seen the Scream movies, I don't know why you're watching a Scream 2022 review. Actually, no. You can watch a Scream 2022 review. I need all the views I can get. X that out. We're not going to say that. I will say this though, and it's weird that I'm putting this a part of my good, part of my good category, but I mean, it's Scream. So if you've seen the Scream movies, you already know what you're getting into. You already know about the self-aware jokes. You already know about the I'm gonna call them fourth wall references because they kind of are, but they're not looking at the screen telling you, but they kind of are at the same time. Like I said, if you've seen Scream, you know what it is. So I'm gonna put this in the good because I mean they do everything that Scream movies do correctly. Essentially, one thing that could be a glaring problem for people is the fact that it takes a little long to kill people, or some things may not be as realistic as people want to, but it's Scream, it's horror movies. You can't expect real things to happen all the time. It's a movie. You gotta keep it in the movie world. And that is kind of what's going to lead me into the bad of the movie. So the only problems I really had in the movie came within the third act of the movie, where of course, and this is kind of where Scream movies can either lose people or kind of make it even better, when it all comes down to who the killer is and when the motive is revealed of why these people are doing this. What's the big deal. As far as the first two acts, I have no issues with those. My problem essentially comes in the third act. And I'm not going to go into like big details of what happens in the third act. Of course, I'm not going to reveal who the killers are because there's no fun in that. And I will say this, it wasn't easy to guess who it was. I mean, if you got it, that's good. Like, cool. Like, let's not trash on other people and call them stupid because they didn't get it. It's not that easy to figure it out. But if you got it, pat yourself on the back, while the movie's on, because you did a good job. But As far as the bad goes, yeah, it really just comes in the third act. And honestly, for me, it just became a little cartoonish. It just became a little more wonky. It came a little more animated. And it's like, okay, let's kind of wrap this up. It kind of reminded me of it kind of reminded me of the reveal in Scary Movie. If you've ever seen the first Scary Movie, when who I think it was Marlon Wayans and I think it was Sean Wayans and whoever the other killer was in that, and when the two killers in Scary Movie was revealed, basically, and they were just all over the place with that. That's kind of what this third act reminded me of. And I know for a lot of other people, I was just sitting there thinking like, yeah, this will probably take a lot of people out of the movie. But honestly, that's my only bad part of the movie, is just that third act. If it works for you, if you're a big fan of the Scream movies, the third act may work for you. It didn't work all the way for me. Like I said, they just got a little too cartoonish with it at the end. But I mean, I had fun. As far as the first two acts go, the third act I'd probably say it could have been cleaned up a little bit more, just as far as motives and just the animations go. And you'll see, and if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it just becomes a little much. It just becomes a lot, actually. It might some might describe it as a lot. I'm just going to describe it as much. So for my analysis, this will kind of just be a breakdown of, my overall feelings of the movie. Like I said, guys, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I really liked, this movie. The first two acts I enjoyed a ton. I give that 5 stars. Stars are not my rankings, but, just for the sake of it, I give the 2 acts 5 stars. I probably give the third act maybe 3. Like I said, that third act, I was watching it and I know a lot of people could probably be either reeled back by what was going on because of how crazy cartoonish it gets. But as far as a good time, entertainment, shoving popcorn in your face, the movie is fantastic, guys. It's a really good movie. It's a really good ode to all the Scream movies. Not only that, it's an ode to horror. That's what Scream has been this entire time. And honestly, I think Wes Craven would have been really proud of the product that would have been that was delivered in this movie. Like I said, for a 5th franchise, I really you can't be too, for what we got out of this for a 5th movie in the franchise, you can't be mad at it at all, because this is actually very incredible for a 5th movie. I was actually that's how I went in thinking of it. Like, this is the 5th movie in the franchise. It can be really bad or it's going to be pretty entertaining, and I was very entertained throughout the entirety of the movie. So that's my analysis. So as far as shout-outs go, as I should probably say standouts in the movie, I'm going to give my flowers to Jack Quaid and Jasmine Brown. Jack Quaid played Richie, who was Melissa Barrera, the main character's girlfriend, and Jasmine Brown played the film nerd in this movie. And what that means is, the person who's into horror and knows all that good stuff and walks everybody through the steps of how this works, blah, blah, blah. But those two did a phenomenal job. I'm especially going to give flowers to Jasmine Brown, because she had a whole monologue about, movies and sequels and how this whole killing thing is going to work. And she killed it to a T. She broke it down, made it very simple and plain for everybody. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie in like 3 or 4 weeks, so I don't remember especially refreshingly what they called it. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But I definitely got to give a shout out to those two guys. And without further ado, here's my review. So I'm going to figure out how to do reviews. I'm probably going to have a grading scale at some point down the road for these movies. But as of right now goes, just because the way, everything is, you want to know whether a movie, at the end of the day, you want to know whether this movie is worth watching or not. And I got to be honest, it's definitely worth watching. It's 100%. I'd say, I'm going to say it as simply as this: buy a ticket for this movie, go see it with your friends, go have a good time, get back in the movies, have a good time, because Moonfall's coming out this week. Nobody's going to have a good time at that. And if it gets good reviews, I can go on freezing cold takes. Look, you can give me crap for my bad takes. That's okay. That's fine. I will take the heat. I can take it. But Moonfall comes out this week. Go see Scream. Jackass comes out this week. Go see Jackass if you're into that kind of stuff. But don't go see Moonfall. Go see Scream. I'm gonna do a review for Moonfall, and we're gonna find out what that's about too. So like I said, I'm your guy in the chair. I'm gonna do this for you guys. But go see Scream, please. And like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm your guy in the chair, and I got a lot more videos coming your way, guys. Thank you so much.